Over a year ago, I had the unfortunate opportunity to play and review Demon Slayer Sweep the Board, and I did not like it. Not one bit. But apparently, a lot of you out there did like it, so I thought it would only be reasonable to give this game a second chance. This time, instead of playing it by myself, I'll be joined by 3 of my friends. You know the age-old saying, everything is fun with friends, right? Right? Wrong. Even playing this with my friends, this was still one of the most agonizingly boring experiences of my life. I'm not even playing this up for the camera. This is one of the worst games I have ever played. Let me tell you why. Demon Slayer Sweep the Board originally released in Japan on April 25th, 2024, and one day later for the rest of the world exclusively on Nintendo Switch. It wouldn't be until 3 months later that the game would be ported to PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X/S on July 16th worldwide. Now, when I originally reviewed this game on April 28th, I made a point about how this game is exclusively available on Nintendo Switch, and for some reason, I've received many comments claiming that I was spreading misinformation and that I was blatantly lying about the game being only on Switch. Well, buddy, maybe take 5 seconds to look up the release date and see that when I released that video, it was exclusive to the Switch, and it wouldn't be until 3 months later that it released on all other platforms. Ever heard of a timed exclusive? This isn't a new concept. As for the general perception of this game, it seems to be pretty mixed, with a 71 critic score and a 7.1 user score on Metacritic. And taking a look at our good pal Steam charts, its all-time peak of players was 27, and as of writing this script, only 2 people played it in the past 24 hours. It looks like a lot of other people didn't realize this was also released on PC. My review of this game was largely negative. I criticized the gameplay, claiming it was boring and uninspired, called out the lackluster presentation, which was full of cut corners and performance issues, and ultimately made the point that this game is not worth $60. But I did only play the game by myself. Many people made the claim that it is better with friends. So, I got 3 friends together, all of whom have seen Demon Slayer, and we tackled the game of Sweep the Board. Our findings? Playing this game with friends does not make it any better. All of the same issues are still very prevalent here. Yes, we do get to complain about all the bull, but it's far from what I would call a fun experience. When we first started up the game, all of my friends wanted to waste a bunch of time adding new users to my Switch. Finally, after choosing Guts, Zoro, and Skylar White, a star-studded cast if I've ever seen one, we got to choose our characters. There are 14 playable characters to choose from, including the main trio, all of the Hashira, and even Genya and Kanao. Last time I made a point about how I didn't know who would be clamoring to play as Genya, but apparently there are in fact a lot of Genya fans out there, so sorry guys, I respect the inclusion. After choosing our characters, we get to choose one of 6 boards, each one coinciding with a different story arc and having their own unique mechanic. Board 1 is the first selection in the Asakusa arc and features a boat that moves you around the board. Board 2 is the Drum Mansion in the Mount Monadagumo arc and features spaces that teleport and streams that move you around the board. Board 3 is the Mugen Train arc and features a train that can move you around the board. Board 4 is the Entertainment District arc and features rickshaws that can move you around the board. Board 5 is the Swordsmith Village arc and features tour guides that can move you around the board. And Board 6 is the Hashira training arc and lets you train with Hashira. Alright, I was being a little facetious there. Some of these boards do offer some more gimmicks beyond just moving you around the board. For our game, we chose board 5, which features hot springs and a training doll. The hot springs is essentially just a lucky space and gives you some random reward, and as for the training doll, if you pass by it then you have a chance of training with it, i.e. playing a minigame. The thing I don't get is what determines whether you can train with it or not. You get this prompt where this kid decides if you can train, but there's nothing to determine whether he'll let you or not. The game explains that the key to getting his approval is just to ask again and again. That doesn't actually mean anything, because my friend got to train with him the first time he landed on the space, but the rest of us didn't get to on our first tries. We thought maybe last place gets to, but no, it is entirely random whether he lets you train or not. Asking over and over doesn't increase your odds at all, it's just complete RNG. And the funny thing about the training doll minigame is that you don't actually have to do anything beyond the final hit. We ran an experiment where my friend actually tried and hit some of the earlier attacks, netting him a score of 31. The next time he did the training doll, he didn't hit any attacks except for the final blow, only getting a score of 10, and he got the same exact reward. So what is the point of the minigame if your performance doesn't affect anything? As for the tour guides, it's a pretty simple mechanic, where if you pass the space, you can choose to teleport to one of the other predetermined spaces on the map. Enough complaining about board mechanics. let's get into the actual gameplay here. The key to victory is earning the most rank points. There are different ways to earn rank points, such as through special stops like the training doll, gourd spaces, mini bosses, but the main method is through reaching destination spaces and defeating demons. Here they're essentially like stars from Mario Party, with the player with the most at the end winning. The best way to earn rank points is by being the first to reach the destination spaces and doing well in demon fights. At the beginning of the match, a random space will be selected as the destination space. Your goal is to be the first one to reach this space, which will net you rank points as well as turn the board to nighttime. At nighttime, a new space will appear, which once reached will trigger a demon boss fight, which all players get to participate in and earn rank points depending on how well they do. I have quite a few problems with this system. For one, mini games don't happen when it's nighttime. Now, I'm not a big fan of this game's mini games, we'll get to that later, but it's still annoying that if no one reaches the demon space, then you just keep rolling without anything to break up that pace. During nighttime segments, you may also land on a mini boss space. The funny thing about these is that there's no tutorial for how to play these. All of the mini games and all of the regular battles give you either a practice screen or a set of instructions, essentially just letting you know what you'll be doing and how. These mini bosses just don't. Now, to be fair, they do play almost the same as the regular bosses, but we fought a mini boss first before we fought a regular boss, which means it just dumped us directly into the boss battle without letting us know what to do, so we all just lost. Another nighttime mechanic is surprise demon attacks. These are so stupid. Sometimes randomly a demon will surprise attack, but what's stupid about this is that it's not like the person who triggered the event is the one being punished, it just attacks anyone randomly. So the one who triggered it could get away scot-free, while everyone else gets attacked. Why? Another thing I hate about nighttime is that once you do reach the demon fight space, it's RNG whether you'll actually do the boss fight or not. A roulette spins, and depending on where it lands, you might fight the boss, or you might just get a lead and have to go to another demon space. And nighttime doesn't end until you beat the demon, so if you just get a lead, then you're going to be stuck in nighttime until you get to the next demon space. And what really annoys me about this roulette is that there's no interactivity. It's not like you press a button to stop it, it just stops on its own. It's very weird because there are many instances of RNG in this game, and they'll function completely differently. Demon spaces, it stops by itself. Ally spaces, it slows down to a stop after you press a button. Gourd spaces stop immediately after you press the button. So why can't these all just function the same? After you go through all that trouble, you finally play the demon boss fight. Each board only has 2 demons to face, with board 6 being the exception. So that means if you fight more than 2 demons in one round, then you're going to be getting a lot of repeats like we did. We faced each demon on this board at least twice each. But are the boss fights at least fun? Not really. They're essentially just rhythm games. You either shake the controller or simply turn the joystick in the direction shown at the proper time. The better your timing, the more points you get. The more points you get, the more rank points you earn. All of these boss fights are structured in this first person view, which is honestly understandable. I think it would be too complicated to try and work around 4 players all fighting the boss at once. What I don't like though, is that there are cutscenes in these boss fights that are ripped directly from Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles. Now granted, the same developers worked on each game, so it's not like they're stealing or anything, but it just comes across as so lazy. I understand reusing models and assets or whatever, but for one, this is a spin-off game. It's not like this is a sequel to Hinokami Chronicles, it's a completely different game. And 2, reusing cutscenes is kind of ridiculous. Models, fine, but cutscenes, really? It's so blatant that these weren't made for this game, because the game goes from looking like ass constantly to looking beautiful for 5 seconds, before going back to looking like ass. It would be as if Mario Party randomly played a cutscene from Mario Odyssey. Sure, it's the same developer, the same franchise, that doesn't mean it makes sense to reuse. It's a different visual style, a different graphical quality. It's just so obviously out of place. So that's the nighttime and demon fight mechanics. Are they unique? I guess so, but that doesn't make them any good. Getting into the general gameplay loop, it is painstakingly slow. Every little movement just takes so damn long. Rolling, moving, interacting with spaces, nothing is snappy or concise. We timed it, and sometimes it took one player, not a whole turn, just one player's turn, 2 minutes. Our entire game of only 15 rounds took us 2 hours. For comparison's sake, we played a 15-turn game of Mario Party Superstars, and that only took us 1 hour, half the time that Demon Slayer did. Everything is so slow, and random things are always happening. And the thing is, either so much happens and it takes forever, or nothing happens. On this board, we kept hitting the destination and demon spaces so often, because for some reason it kept consolidating them to one area of the board that we kept going around in circles for. At a certain point, we were hitting them so often, and the game was moving so slow, that we just decided to try and avoid them outright to get it over with. But here's the thing, that problem happened on this map. We also played on the Demon Drum Mansion map. The mechanic there is that the spaces will teleport you just like the Drum Demon does in the show. But because of that, we never progressed anywhere. We were stuck in nighttime, no minigames, just constantly rolling over and over, so nothing ever happened. The West has fallen. billions must play Demon Slayer Sweep the Board. And aside from animations and text and movement just taking so long, there are a number of built-in mechanics that just make everything so slow. For example, when you reach an item shop, you can buy more than one item. So hypothetically, you could just sit there forever and keep buying items. Speaking of items, they are stupid, just like every other support mechanic in this game. You got your normal items like onigiri, which add additional spaces to your roll, or double dice, but there's some other items too like gourds that double your rewards from gourd spaces, but only has one use. There's a smoke signal that forces all players to your current space, sure. There's a charm that can change red spaces to blue spaces for one turn, don't really see the use there. The Slayer headband nets you 5 extra rank points in demon fights for one time only, and I thought I had found the strat by just buying a bunch of these, but they don't stack. So I just had a bunch of leftovers. It would have been nice if it had, mentioned that before. A lot of these items range from pretty standard to I don't really see the use. But if you do get an item that is useful, or at the very least annoying, you can buy so many. Coins are easy to come by, and since you can buy multiple items at one stop, you can just stock up and spam items every turn. Another mechanic that's supposed to be helpful, but is kind of actually stupid, are allies. You can land on ally spaces, or purchase items to recruit allies. You can have one ally at a time, and they roll their dice alongside yours. It's kind of broken, because it's possible to get 2 allies by recruiting Nezuko. She only appears at night and will automatically join whoever is in last place. So I got to recruit Nezuko and already had another additional ally, so I got to roll 3 times per turn. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows because your allies roll their Slayer dice. Every character has a unique Slayer dice that you can choose to roll with in place of these standard dice. These dice all have unique combinations of outcomes. Some are pretty good, like only having higher numbers, whereas some are stupid as f*** and only have coins or zeros. The balancing on these things is ridiculous, man. But aside from dealing with these stupid items and the boring gameplay loop, the minigames aren't any better. Barely any of these minigames have anything to do with Demon Slayer. Most are just generic ass minigames you could find in any party game. Like there's fishing or sledding. Oh, and yeah, remember when they played jump rope in that one episode of the anime? Well, even though they lack any cohesive theming or anything to really tie it to the source material, they can still be fun, right? Wrong. None of these minigames are fun. They break up the pace of the board game, sure, but they aren't enjoyable to play. What makes them so awful is that they just don't run or control well at all. There's insane input delay. You could press a button and count out a full second before the game recognizes you pressed a button. This made the jump rope timing game practically impossible. This problem showed up in the demon fights too. You have to either swing or press the joystick in the shown direction, and we would, but the game just wouldn't read our inputs properly. And no, it is not my fault. My Joy-Cons do not have drift. All of the buttons function properly. We tested that out in the middle of the game, and they worked perfectly fine on the Nintendo home menu. Speaking of not working properly, let's talk about visuals and performance, because both are incredibly poor. This game looks horrible. Even playing it on Switch 2 versus the original Switch doesn't help at all. The boards look awful, the textures are incredibly low quality, like something straight out of Pokemon Sword. The NPCs that populate these boards look ugly too. Most are just static PNGs, and the ones with actual animations and full models look so much worse than the player characters. You can easily tell if these were an afterthought. Like, look at the difference in detail between these two. It is night and day. It feels as if they just plucked some default template assets from some other game and used them because the boards just look so generic. There's no visual style to anything. And don't get me started on the performance. In addition to the low quality graphics, there are constant lag spikes. I think my favorite is that whenever the generic confetti effect plays on screen, the whole game just lags. It's awesome. Once you finally finish a game, what else can you do? Not much. You can play online, but no one's gonna be doing that. And you can just play minigames, so why would you want to do that? You can also roll the gacha for unlockables. There's some titles, player icons, stuff like that. The slightly more worthwhile rewards are costumes and stamps. There are only a couple of costumes per character, and most are just the character without their Hiyori. The stamps can be used in-game as reactions, and it's a little annoying how in-game it doesn't tell you what the text is before you select it. You just gotta go based off of the image. And for some of these it's pretty predictable, but for others you would have never guessed in a million years. But these stamps are home to the best part of this game. You see, this game got the English dub voice cast to work on it. A nice addition. But this means we get some of the greatest stamps in any party game ever.
Feeling pretty happy. Feeling pretty happy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Now here comes the inevitable. Demon Slayer Sweep the Board is a lot like another party game series, one featuring an Italian plumber and his buddies. In my previous review, I made a lot of comparisons to Mario Party and claimed Sweep the Board is simply a knockoff, and I still stand by that. There's this one comment that said it's not a knockoff and is simply inspired by Mario Party.
You serious?
Sweep the Board does barely anything to set itself apart from other party games. The only slightly unique mechanic are the demon fights. The rest of the game is pretty much exactly the same as Mario Party, just worse. I can see the argument behind enjoying a game like Crash Team Racing because it actually plays differently from Mario Kart. It can easily stand as its own racing game. It doesn't exist in Mario Kart Shadow because it offers a different experience. Sweep the Board does not offer a different experience from Mario Party. Well, I guess it is different, but only in the sense that it's bad and Mario Party is good. My thesis from the first video was, why would you ever buy Sweep the Board when you can just buy Mario Party? And that still holds true. After we finished our Sweep the Board game, we had to detox with the game of Mario Party, and it was 100 times better. I can kind of see the argument for purchasing this game on a platform that isn't a Nintendo console, but even then, it is nowhere near worth $60. This game does the literal bare minimum and charges you full price for it. In what world is this garbage worth $60? And don't even try that tired excuse of, well, what do you know about game development? The developers put a lot of effort into this game. Like, you could do any better. Just shut the fuck up. Please shut the fuck up. Using arguments like that means that literally everything in existence ever is free from criticism. Using that logic of, like, you could do any better, means that only the best game developers can criticize anything. But how do you even determine the best game developers if no one is allowed to criticize anything? It's like saying only Tarantino can critique movies. I don't have to be a game developer to say this game is not good. And trying to argue that this game is free from criticism because the developers happen to put effort into it means that everything is free from criticism because someone at some point in time put effort into it. That is not the way the world works. If your only point for buying this game is because you like Demon Slayer, then fine, do whatever you want. It's your money. But just because you happen to be a fan of a franchise does not mean that you have to defend every single thing remotely related to it. You don't have to give your life to everything that has Tanjiro in it. This game is horrible. It is an unoriginal, poor performing, RNG riddled mess. It was one of the most boring experiences of my life, even whilst playing with 3 of my other friends. I do not recommend this game to anybody. If you enjoy playing it, then all the power to you. But this is just my opinion, and it is a hill I am willing to die on.